This week on the High Limit Room, we preview Texarkana 67 Speedway, the Texas Motor Speedway dirt track. We get a quick interview in with Rico Abreu, and we sit down as well with Tony Laporta and Brian Walker to preview this week's return to racing. Before we get into this week's preview, did want to give a shout out to a couple of High Limit Racing full-timers on some wins over the weekend, including Tanner Thorson. He was able to grab his first 410 sprint car win of the year at Creek County Speedway in Oklahoma with the Power Eye 410 sprint cars. That was on Friday night. Rico Abreu went back-to-back at the Knoxville Raceway, won with the Outlaws last week, and then won the season opening points race at Knoxville as well. Aaron Reitzel finished right behind him in the 410 race, but Reitzel also went to victory lane that night in the 360 main event. And then Kyle Larson, not a high limit full timer, but he was able to get a big win against the World of Outlaws at the Jacksonville Speedway in Illinois. So congrats to all those guys on their wins before we get back to our action this week. Now, by the time Wednesday night rolls around, it will have been 32 days since High Limit Racing was last in action, but we are about to kick off what is the busiest month of the 2025 season for the series, which includes 16 races in 10 different states over a span of about 30 days time. And that first race kicks off on Wednesday night. That is at the Texarkana 67 Speedway. It'll be the first race for the Roto-Rooter Midweek Series and the seventh race of the 2025 season. And we are all looking forward to this one after an unfortunate rainout in 2024 did not allow us to race at that quarter-mile facility located in Texarkana, Arkansas. The track is owned and operated by Tim Crawley and the Crawley family and has seen quite a few upgrades over the last few months, including a wall that now surrounds turns 3 and 4, which is certainly going to be a big change to the way that the track actually races. For the last, forever, I mean, really, it's been, no wall in turns 3 and 4, wall in 1 and 2. And so we can expect to see these guys getting up next to the guardrail, maybe build a cushion up next to that wall as well. Now, going into this race, only 2 of the 14 high rollers have ever been to this racetrack, which includes Race Reading Foundation Rookie of the Year contender Dason Persley. He ran 4th last year with the USAC National Sprint Cars. And the other driver that's ran there before is, of course, Aaron Reitzel, who was 3rd with the ASCS back in 2012. The rest of the full-time drivers will make their their track debut there on Wednesday night. Reitzel, we talked about him at the beginning of the year as being the driver that's visited the most tracks on the High Limit Racing schedule this year, so no surprise to see that he has actually raced there before. Currently 3rd in the overall point standings with 2 wins on the year, so Reitzel will certainly be a guy to watch for on Wednesday night. Now, Tyler Courtney is a driver that is included in those 12 that has not ever been to Texarkana 67 Speedway. He is last year's Midweek Series champion, and he will be looking to start off his title defense on the right foot. This will be just the 4th ever winged 410 sprint car race held at this racetrack, with the ASCS Elite Outlaw sprint cars making a few stops over there over the last 2 years. Watch for potentially a new track record to be established as well, which is currently held by Gage Montgomery at a 12.705 second lap time. So more than likely going to be seeing a new track record there on Wednesday. Along with Kyle Larson in the field, you can expect to see NASCAR driver Ricky Stenhouse Jr. He is set to make his debut in the 410 sprint car with High Limit Racing on Wednesday night. Stenhouse did run last week with the USCS sprint cars at the Talladega short track. He finished up 7th in that one, but is yet to break out the 410 yet in 2025. So watch for Ricky Stenhouse Jr. to show up on Wednesday, and more than likely on Thursday and Saturday when High Limit Racing makes its way over to the Texas Motor Speedway dirt track, which is about a 3-hour drive to the west. And we're expecting a really good field of cars to show up there for the 4th and 5th time in series history being at that Texas Motor Speedway dirt track. Thursday night, we'll probably see more than likely the official debut of Christopher Bell with High Limit Racing in the Kreitz Racing 69K after he tried to run at Las Vegas before it got winded and rained out. And so Christopher Christopher Bell hopefully will make his high limit debut on Thursday night. Last year, this car, the 69K, was on kill every time it hit the racetrack at the Texas Motor Speedway dirt track. That was, of course, with Darren Pittman behind the wheel. He was quick time both nights in October. He sat on the pole, led laps, and finished second in back-to-back nights there at the Texas Motor Speedway dirt track. So Bell will have a legitimate shot to join Trey Starks as a winner in his high limit racing debut. Darren Pittman will then take over the reins of the 69K during Saturday night's festivities because Bell has an order in place to not race 24 hours before a NASCAR Cup Series race. That was a decision that he made personally because he wants to be prepared for the Cup Series stuff. So he will run Thursday. Darren Pittman will run the car on Saturday night. Now, last year, High Limit did make 3 trips to the Texas Motor Speedway dirt track. They were won by Anthony Macri, Brad Sweet, and Brent Marks, and they all featured multiple different leaders throughout the main events. Marks, Macri, Sweet, Darren Pittman, Jacob Allen, Tyler Courtney, and Aaron Reitzel all led laps at some point in time in one of those races at Texas last year. Now, just a reminder to fans that are planning on going to these races this week, the action will start on Thursday. We'll run Thursday night, and then we'll take Friday night off for the truck race, which will take place over at the big Texas Motor Speedway track, and we'll come back for more on Saturday night. With it being held on the same weekend as NASCAR, there is, of course, a good chance that we could see Ty Gibbs joining the likes of Christopher Bell, Kyle Larson, and Ricky Stenhouse, and he will try and make his return to the seat of a 410 sprint car for the first time since Las Vegas. Now, talking about Texas as well, on the FloRacing broadcast, we are expecting to have Kyle Busch back in the booth as well. And so we saw him up there with us during the Las Vegas Motor Speedway season opener, and he did a fantastic job. And so we are expecting to have Kyle Busch once again joining me in the booth on the FloRacing broadcast Saturday night at the Texas Motor Speedway dirt track. So a lot going on. It's going to be a fun week of racing action, getting back to it after being off for 32 nights. The high limit racing schedule is going to be kicked off in a big way here, as we've only ran 6 races. We're about to run about 16 of them in about a short 30-day time. After Texas, we go up to Kansas, we go to Indiana, we go to Ohio, we go to Pennsylvania, we go to New York. A lot to look forward to on the schedule coming up over the next month. Now, earlier on, we had Tony Laporta, pit reporter for the series, sit down with the driver currently sitting in the top 5 in high limit racing point standings, and one of the fan favorites, that's Rico Abreu.
Very happy to have Rico Abreu stop by the real high limit room here in Brownsburg, Indiana. Rico, in preparation for this intense interview, I made sure to check out your social media, and you can go down a rabbit hole watching your social media. I think in the last couple days, I've seen you post about detailing the inside of your truck, swapping out the air filter on an Abreu Vineyards or a winery truck, and then, of course, we can't forget the drive into Las Vegas spoof video you put out. What do you enjoy so much about interacting with the fans on social media?
It's a good balance just to connect with the fans. It's a platform that I've used, for the last decade and gotten pretty serious with over the last 5 years. Just an intriguing form of communication through our race fan and our audience. It becomes really fun to be organic about it all and have some humor. And I feel like it's allowed me to break the ice with a lot of race fans, and build that comfort barrier for fans to approach me at the races.
I mean, you're so good at exactly that, being approachable. And Brian Walker said it. They used the phrase in every single episode, I think, of Dirt Season 2. You're the only personality in the sport that might actually be bigger than the sport of sprint car racing. When you hear people speak about you like that, positively most of the time, I know it's not always positive. There's a few dummies out there. But when you hear comments like that and rave reviews about your social, is that ever uncomfortable? Is that ever weird? Or do you embrace that and are happy that's the result you're getting?
Definitely embrace it. And I'm very fortunate that it comes really organic to me. And I actually enjoy just that side of my personality. So, and connecting with the race fans, I've really understood that without the race fans, none of this racing is possible for us. And, for them to have an incredible experience at the races, it's important for me to back up what I present on social media at the track, in person. So, it all aligns and collides. And, that's really, where I've taken this whole thing and allowed, a big boost from it. I've seen, what social media has grown for, people in the industry of other industries outside of motorsports, the influencer side, and I reflect a lot of like people in our industry as well, like Tanner Holmes, who's done an incredible job. Jacob Allen's honestly done an incredible job with his social platforms, and they've really embraced their personalities and been very open. And I think, you see that connection at the racetrack, and that's a separate side of, obviously, you want to build it all up and then, the race fans be able to, see the parallelness to it all. I see a lot of that, and I just really push hard to perform on the racetrack and then to, perform on the social platforms as well.
Has that always been easy for you? Have you been a guy, when you were growing up as a kid, did just public speaking and engaging with people, did that come naturally to you? Has this always been an easy thing to be this kind of guy? It's
something I've really worked on. Public speaking is very difficult. Just speaking in general in front of people, it's very difficult I find myself, staying on track of things. My mind's always racing, and probably why I've had success with racing, just because I get scatterbrained at times. But, the biggest thing is enjoying it and, and making people feel appreciated. I just try to really focus on staying in line with that. I always tell myself, like, we're going bowling and it's important to stay in your lane. And, so I focus on those things. The performance side of my race team, the leadership, of my race team. I want to raise the bar every year, every season, and do things better than the people around me. And I really make big pushes at it all.
Well, you do a phenomenal job at it. Okay, last question. I'm already over the time limit I told you we'd hit here, but people are going to want to know something racing related. So back-to-back weekends out to Knoxville, Iowa, back-to-back victories. Obviously, you want every lap you can get out at the sprint car capital of the world, but after 2 straight weeks of wins and 2 straight weeks of just good performances out on that half mile, how do you feel? I know we're not even in May yet, but everybody's always looking towards August. They've got one eye on August out in Knoxville. After 2 really good weekends, how do you guys feel?
Yeah, I think anytime you win at Knoxville, it's very special. It's very difficult to win at that racetrack. It's the most technical racetrack that we go to as race car drivers. And we won on the top at the World of Outlaw race. We duked it out with the best drivers, and then we went back and I made sure to really focus on winning on the bottom, and really put myself in uncomfortable positions to where we need to, just focus on hitting your marks in intense circumstances. So that's my goal this year: win the Knoxville Nationals and win a high limit championship.
Rico Abreu, he has got some pretty lofty goals, but he certainly can attain them. He attains goals every single day. Just watch his social media. You'll learn all about that. Rico, thanks for stopping by.
All right, we are now joined by pit reporter with High Limit Racing, that is Tony Laporta, and social media expert Brian Walker, as we look forward to a couple of races this week at Texarkana and the Texas Motor Speedway Dirt Track. We'll talk about a couple of the drivers to keep an eye on. If you are interested in putting some money down on these races, make sure to go to nxtbets.com/playhlr, and you can get in on the action with High Limit Racing. And that's what we kind of want to talk about here to start this third segment off. Brian, we've got the odds a little bit earlier than we normally do for these shows, and so we've got some numbers to look at here. Who are you liking as we go into this week? Obviously, these odds are for Texarkana. Right now, Brad Sweet, it looks like he is the favorite.
Yeah, you kind of have your typical top 3 to 5 guys you'd expect. Brad Sweet opened at plus 250, Kyle Larson at plus 300, Rico Abreu plus like 585, and then Tyler Courtney's plus 1200, Brent Marks plus 2500. But I think you're looking at the list too right now, Chase. The guy I am just staring at is Aaron Reitzel opening at plus 5,500. That is if you put a $10 bet, all you gotta do is put $10 on him. That's it. You make $560 if he wins. That is crazy value for, one of the best guys in the country right now.
Yeah, I mean, Tony, he's won 2 races out of 6 already with high limit. And I mentioned it at the top of the show. He's one of just 2 high limit guys that have actually been to this track before. So he's at least got laps around there. 5,500 seems like a steal for him.
Chase, plus 5,500 on Aaron Reitzel running up front with Kubota High Limit at Texarkana. That's like putting the odds at plus 5,500 for the Columbus Blue Jackets not making the NHL playoffs. I mean, you just got to take that when you see it, right? Yeah, absolutely. He's been on fire since starting the season with us. It makes you think what could have been if he doesn't have to sit out due to an injury back at Las Vegas in round 1. How does the championship picture look, even though we're so early in the season? Those are very delectable sounding odds for Aaron Reitzel going into Texarkana. I'd smash that if I were a betting man.
Now, Brian, I'd also like to mention here Ryan Timms. It looks like on my screen here, he's about 6,800. Now, they were very fast to start the year off, struggled a little bit out there on the West Coast with high limit in that Lee Big Motorsports number 10. But when we go to Texas a few days later, after Texarkana, if his odds are still around that 6,800 mark, that's a guy I would look for there, because last year with high limit, he had a podium and a top 5 in those 2 races in October. So he's definitely a guy to watch for as well. Down in that area.
Yeah, I mean, Timms is in that little kind of conglomerate down there, like plus 6,800, 8,800 of a lot of guys that, like, I mean, have shown promise and speed. Like, it wouldn't shock me if a guy like Chase Randall pulled it off. He's plus 6,800. Tanner Thorson's fresh off a win. They've really turned their program around lately. He's down there. Casey Kane. Casey Kane's a brand new man. He's plus 8,800 too. So there's all sorts of good options down there.
Yeah, and the other guy, Tony, I'd like to talk about here as well is Brent Marks. He's at 2,500, and I don't know if the odds makers forgot, but he won the last race we had at Texas Motor Speedway, the season ender last year in October.
The odds makers may have forgotten, but we haven't forgotten, Chase. You took the words out of my mouth. He really hit on something, Brent Marks did, with that Murray Marks Motorsports team at the last round of 2024. And if you remember, man, he was dreading after advancing into the dash, going to that wheel. He had a little bit of help there. I believe it was Millery from FloRacing Films. Her father actually spun the wheel for Brent Marks, and that's what put him on the inside of the front row for the FK Rod Ends Dash, and he parlayed that #gambling term into the final feature victory of 2024. So Brent obviously pretty excited to get back to the Lone Star State, because they really found something they liked there at the last round of 2024. He is certainly someone that I think everyone should keep their eyes on, Brent Marks, when we get to Texas Motor Speedway.
No doubt about that, Tony. Now, Brian, let's kind of switch gears a little bit here. We've got a really busy schedule coming up here. I mentioned it at the top of the show. Over the next 30 or so days, 16 races in 10 different states from, all over the place. Obviously, Arkansas, Texas, Kansas, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, the Port Royals in Pennsylvania, and New York. What are you looking forward to the most coming up here? A lot of those races are also part of the Roto-Rooter Midweek series as well. So, it's going to be action-packed, I would say, this next month.
Yeah, I believe it's 4 straight weeks. We have a Roto-Rooter Midweek series race. Obviously, I think the top of the list I'm looking at is Kokomo. I watched the USAC race there, this weekend. It was awesome. I will never not look forward to a Kokomo race. Places like Texarkana 81, we didn't get a chance to race at last year. I'm excited to finally do that this year. And then, obviously the Weikert being such a big deal now, $75,000 to win, going against the Posse. That's an awesome weekend. So 141 too. That place looks sick. I've seen some IRA races there. I'm excited to go there.
Tony, I know the one you're looking forward to the most is the Weikert for sure. Now that it's up to $75,000, I know you are really, really looking forward to get back to Port Royal.
Oh, can't wait. I really think it's going to be a great weekend. I mean, only thing that could make that weekend better is if they move the fair food up a couple months to when we're going to be there in May. Although, seriously, I do echo Brian's thoughts. Kokomo's going to be awesome. That Brian said it perfectly. You're never not going to look forward to going to any kind of sprint car race at Kokomo. I'm with him on that. And also, I'm really looking forward to getting back up to New York for 2 nights on the 16th and the 17th of May when we go to Ransomville and then return to Utica Rome, which we got up to last year. The big trend, the word on the street was when we got up to New York, all the locals told us, hey, get ready, because you're going to see racetracks turn more slick than you've ever seen them turn. And gut slick was the term one driver used with me, one local, and he was not lying. I remember talking to you, Chase, on the pre-feature back and forth we do sometimes, and the water trucks were pulling off, and before the water trucks were even off of the track at Utica Rome, the top of turns 3 and 4 where I was reporting from looked slick again. I mean, it looked like they hadn't even been out there. So those New York tracks really seem to throw everybody for a curve, at least the national touring guys. So yeah, New York's going to be one of those sleeper weekends, I think, that's going to produce some really fun and exciting racing.
Yeah, Rico Abreu was the winner last year at Utica Rome. He's still looking for his first high-limit win of the year. Did get that win with the Outlaws a few weeks back. Now, guys, I also wanted to talk about some things that are going on right now in the world of sprint car racing. The biggest storyline right now has got to be Ashton Torgerson and the Shark Racing 1A. Quite the interesting move from the Shark Racing gang to pick him up after letting Cale Thomas go. And a lot of people online were a little skeptical about what was going to happen. But Brian, 43 cars showed up at the BAPS on Sunday, and Ashton Torgerson goes out there a second night in the car, first time at BAPS, and wins. And he wins convincingly.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to see the race, but I mean, 43 cars in Pennsylvania, guys like Dietrich, was Macri there, probably?
Oh, he was. They were all there. They were all there.
To beat the caliber of guys that Pennsylvania brings to a weekly show in general is pretty impressive. Nonetheless, in your first time in a brand new car too, in a area completely new to you. So that's pretty impressive. It'll be interesting to see where they go and how he continues to fare.
Yeah, I think I read today they're actually going to be going to the Outlaw race in Eldora. So they're going to be going to Let's Race 2 coming up here. So going to be stepping up the competition a little bit there. So definitely an interesting storyline there. And other stuff that went on, over the last week or so, Tony, we mentioned it kind of towards the top of the show, but a couple of high rollers getting some wins. Obviously, Tanner Thorson, Creek County got that win. But the high rollers in Knoxville, I mean, Rico getting that big win against the Outlaws, a 60-something car field there, then 40 more cars during that season opener for the points series as well. The high rollers have been running pretty good here recently and winning some races.
How awesome was it, to see Tanner Thorson get on top of the wing at Creek County, and just like how you guys were talking about, Ashton Torgerson beating a very impressive field of posse locals up in Pennsylvania. Tanner Thorson didn't race against any slouches either. Blake Hahn, Jonathan Beeson on the podium with him, Kyle Clark, Joby Miller, the top 5. So to see Tanner and Britton Marvel, and I don't know if Lee Lindgren was with them that weekend or not, but to see those guys who are always on the edge of doing just something. TJ Nichols. Yes, I apologize. Yes, TJ Nichols. He is a scholar, and he no doubt was a big part of that win at Creek County. But Tanner and his team are always trying different stuff, right? Tanner Thorson, heck, just for the sake of being different. That's sometimes his motivation alone. If the three of us are doing something, Tanner will do the opposite just because it's the opposite. So it's working out for him. He's finding speed in that Rod Gross Motorsport number 88. And Rico, everybody tells you all the time, right? You can never get enough laps at Knoxville Raceway in preparation for the Knoxville Nationals. So for Rico to go out there back-to-back weeks and knock out some wins, I think, that's a very positive and a good look for him and his Rico Abreu Racing team as we get closer and closer to August. And man, what about Larson at Jacksonville? I mean, 6th
Not even
first
fair.
on a bull ring like that. That was crazy.
Yeah, that was what I was going to bring up next, Brian, was Kyle there. I think went 6-2 the win there at Jacksonville. And, I texted Johnny Gibson. I said, this is the best weekend on the Outlaw schedule. Jacksonville Friday and everybody's favorite track, Hobstadt on Saturday. That was can't miss television. Yeah, everybody's favorite. It's either you love it or you hate it. I personally love it. But Kyle did lay a whooping on him there at Jacksonville. And then Hobstadt, we had one of our high rollers up there on the podium with Tyler Courtney.
Yeah, I texted, I think, Hessen Carini Friday night at Jacksonville, and I just said Kyle is stupid. I mean, it's dumb how good he is, especially when the track gets like that. I would either I want him to either start dead last in that situation, or if it goes green to checkered, I'm fine with putting him on the pole and see how far he laps up. I'd like to see how far he gets. And then, Hobstadt's always interesting. Sunshine's always good there. I would have liked to see a Macho Man three-peat. That'd been fun. It's good to see Sheldon get his first win of the year. Hopstad needs, both of those tracks need more than one date. We got to go there more.
I don't know if I put it in our group chat or not, but I think there needs to be a $100,000 to win 3-day Trophy Cup format race at Hopstad. I think that there'd be 100 cars there. And one guy that I was impressed with, Tony, and I don't know if you watched the race or not, Tony, but Kyle Cummins was up to 5th place before he spun out. That is one thing that I just love so much about that place is anybody can show up with, I mean, not anybody, but, a non-wing guy can show up with not much wing experience and contend with those guys. I know he spun out and wrecked, but he was running top 5. And that's just the nature of the beast at that place. You don't know what to expect. And Kyle Cummins was up there putting on a show.
It's funny, Chase, because I remember in 21 when I was with USAC, Kyle Cummins, they were ready to give him the deed to Hopstad. And whether it was a midget, whether it was a non-wing car that year, I mean, he was just, you had to deal with him every single time a national tour was on the track at Hopstad. So, it's no surprise that he was looking as good as he did from Princeton, Indiana, not far from Hopstad, Indiana. So Kyle Cummins has that place figured out. But you look at him on the USAC tour too, and they look great everywhere they go right now. So it's been really cool. Kyle Cummins is one of the really awesome guys that I remember meeting back in 21 when I was with USAC, and it's great to see him in that program, non-wing, or when he personally can get behind the wheel of the wing car, run as well as they are. But yeah, I mean, Brian, you said it. What a weekend for racing. I mean, best weekend on the schedule for a bunch of series, right? Somebody, probably Braden, put it on Twitter joking about all the different stuff that was racing and just the sports and the sprint car action that was on TV and streaming services over the weekend. Pretty tough to have enough screens. I think you sent a Snapchat out, Brian. You had like 6 laptops, 3 TVs, a tablet, an old netbook, and like a flip phone all tuned into different races this weekend, didn't you?
I had the radio going too.
Wow.
Yeah. Radio.
Yeah, let your mind's eye create the image of the racing on track. I like that. Yeah. That's old school.
Yeah.
Brian, you got something to say?
So we made predictions at the beginning of the year for our champions and rookie of the years. Since it's starting this week, we need to make picks on the Roto-Rooter Midweek Series champion. It has been a very exciting 2 years. The first year, Larson barely beat Rico by 7 points. Last year, we obviously had a tie between Sunshine and Sweet. So who are you guys picking this year?
I know he hasn't gotten off to the best start with High Limit. He's got a couple good runs or whatever, but those 2 wins in Knoxville, I think that Rico is going to be super, super good during the midweek series races. Most of the midweek shows are kind of on the smaller racetracks, and I think that's where Rico is the best. I know he just won twice at Knoxville, but that's where last year I feel like we saw him really, really get some big wins. Obviously, Skagit got almost won a race at Silver Dollar. Got some other wins on small tracks. So for me, I'm going to go with Rico to win the midweek series. That might not be too crazy of a guess, but maybe Tony can surprise us with somebody else.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Brian Walker to win the Roto-Rooter Midweek Money Championship. That is a hot take. Yeah, that's big, as someone once said. No, I think regardless, I don't think Aaron Reitzel's out of the year-long championship at all, based on what happened in Vegas, right? I think the speed and the consistency and everything about him, they will be a threat for the national year-long championship, Aaron Reitzel in that number 87. But presuming nothing crazy happens and he has to, for some unforeseeable reason, miss the start of the midweek championship, that shouldn't happen. I think Aaron Reitzel is going to be the guy that you absolutely have to beat in a condensed championship within a championship. He's fast everywhere we go, it seems like. Big track, small track, it doesn't matter. Reitzel's showing a lot of speed. I think Aaron Reitzel is going to be the guy people have to deal with in the Roto-Rooter Midweek Money Series Championship.
Brian, who do you got?
I like the Rico and Reitzel picks. I think I'm going to go Sunshine to defend the title. You saw it this weekend at Hopstad. The 7BC is so good on bull rings. I'm looking at the midweek series schedule. I see places like Kokomo, where he won, Grandview, where he probably should have won, Eagle, where he'll be good, Fremont, he's been at a bunch of times with the All-Stars, Lucas Oil, he won at. There's just tons of places at 7BC I think will be really good, and I think I'll take the 7BC.
Now, before we close out the show, you mentioned the All-Stars there. I did want to mention the All-Stars because Brian or Tony, I don't know if you guys watched. I think Brian, you did for sure. I was talking to you about it. But I mean, bonkers race at Fremont. That was not the Fremont that I feel like I'm used to seeing. It was kind of more hooked up and juicy. It wasn't like it was, bone slick to no curb or anything like that. But Caleb Henry wins, and there was a lot of wrecks from 13th. I think that somebody else was in the top 5 or top 3 from 17th. I think it was Zane DeVault or something. But the All-Stars are going to be fun to watch this year. Greg Wilson, I know I just saw he announced his intentions to run the series after this weekend at Fremont. But that was a wild, wild race. And I think we're going to see a lot more of that from that series this year, Brian.
Yeah, I'm excited for just Fremont in general. I've never been to Fremont. So that was an exciting race to watch. And it's a midweek race for us too. So I'd imagine we'll have a lot of those guys there with us, between all the All-Stars, including the Cap, Caleb, all those guys that ran up front there. So that'll be exciting. And yeah, I'm excited to watch the All-Stars the rest of the year, especially they're back on Flow, and they have a really interesting cast of full-timers this year, and they're going to a lot of cool places.
Tony, were you able to catch it?
Yeah, I was able to see a little bit. Again, like I talked about, there was just a ton of racing going on all weekend, so it's kind of tough to keep an eye on everything. Really cool to see Caleb Henry do as well as he did. I mean, from 13th to 1st, that's crazy. He and a bunch of those guys that were in that field, right, came and raced with us the last year or two at Kubota High Limit Racing. Zane DeVault, last time I really remember seeing him, unfortunately, wasn't a race he probably wants to think much about. It was when he got upside down on the front stretch at Kokomo last May. But yeah, just scrolling through the finishing order here, the feature, 26 cars, really stacked field. And when you look at their schedule, it's a lot like ours, I feel like. Lots of really good racetracks, lots of places where guys can show up, different guys can show up and be fast. And more than anything, it's just cool to see the All-Stars come back and be really, what they were intended to be. All after, those big bad guys at Kubota High Limit Racing came and killed it. So it's really nice to see the All-Stars return and give that region of racing what it deserves.
Yeah, we can expect to see a lot of those guys running with us when we head to Fremont for the Midweek Series event in just a few weeks' time. So, guys, it was great catching up with you, and we are going to be hitting the road here, getting on a plane in just a few days, or about 24 hours maybe from now. So we'll look forward to seeing you down at Texarkana. I feel like I forgot what you guys look like, so it's a good thing we did this podcast, Tony. I forgot what your beautiful face looked like.
Chase,
you did this 7 days ago.
Yeah, but it's 7 days is a long time. That's like 168 hours. It's a long time.
We interviewed Tyler Courtney, and Chase was looking at Tyler a lot more than he was looking at me, I think. So it's understandable that he would forget.
It's true.
Who would want to look at you?
Well, here's the deal. You're being mean right now, and it's easy to forget what I look like, Chase. I just don't want you to ever forget what I sound like. Just promise me that, okay?
Yeah, I won't. I won't forget what you sound like. And also, go Dallas Stars tonight. Go Stars.
Yeah, go Stars.
Go Avs, go.
Yeah, go Avalanche. They look phenomenal. Landeskog is playing lights out, kind of like the Columbus Blue Jackets season. Lights out, because it was over weeks ago.
Yeah, they're already golfing. So the Blue Jackets have already been golfing for a few weeks.
Dallas Stars
golfing right now.
Hey, maybe we can go to a Stars game coming up here. We're hoping. Maybe.
No.
We're gonna be in the area.
No, Avs in 6.
Avs in 6.
High Limit Room goes NHL coverage. You get it all here on FloRacing. Flow Hockey's going to probably start reaching out to us to come make terrible predictions about hockey games in the AHL.
Yeah, we're going to have a AHL room, High Limit Room show. I don't know anything about it, but
I'll get my Eagles jersey. They play in the AHL, Chase.
I do know that. Yes, I did know that. So, all right, guys. Well, good catching up, and we'll see you tomorrow when we head on down to Texarkana and get everything ready to go for the first Roto-Rooter Midweek Series event. That's Brian Walker and Tony Laporta. I'm Chase Rodman. We'll talk to you guys again next week here on the High Limit Room.